Hi, welcome back to another Memory Keeping Monday. This is Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at Two Peas in a Bucket. This month, one of our themes was chipboard. And as I was looking at what chipboard to use and trying to look at the new things that I had in my stash, I thought back to a question I had recently asked on my blog about what kind of workshop you would be interested in taking. And several people suggested workshops that would encourage them to use supplies from their stash. So that got me to thinking about what chipboard items I had in my stash and how I could repurpose them or put them to use on a layout. So that's where this layout got started. So I did a little digging through my stash, trying to find some chipboard that I thought that I could maybe update, make a little bit more current. I looked at some different shaped chipboard pieces and nothing really clicked as I was digging. And then I happened upon a little storage tin that I found of some older Scenic Route circle chipboard pieces. And I know that some of you might be cringing that I use the backside of these printed pieces instead of the front, but in my mind, at least I've put them to use and they're not wasting away in that tin for another 2 to 3 years. So I gathered up several different sizes of these chipboard pieces and then some of my favorite washi tapes and just kind of went to work. And at this point, I really didn't have a plan for the layout. My starting point was this idea of covering these circles with the tape. And so I just started with it. And you can see that I'm just layering on the different pieces of the tape, and I did some short and some long and overlapped them kind of different angles a little bit because I wanted the circles to have quite a bit of texture. I didn't want the lines to be perfect or the edges to be perfect, I guess, on the tape. Once I had the circle adequately covered with the tape, I just trimmed around it with the scissors. As you can see here, I'm starting to form a little bit more of a plan with this layout. I decided that I wanted to do a lot of the circles in different patterns and that I wanted to have craft cardstock as my background because it always makes the colors pop. At this point, I really didn't have a design yet in my head of what I was going to do with these circles. So I just kind of kept going and covering the circles, trying to kind of alternate the different sizes and the different colors of tape and just kind of see where it led me. And right there is where you can see the design idea hit me. So I just kind of kept going from there and building on that design of nesting all of those circles together in a design across the page. Okay, so you can see that I have filled up an area of my page with those washi covered circles. And I also wanted to point out the reason that I didn't put the tape onto the printed side of those chipboard pieces is because some of the tapes are a little bit sheer, and so the printed design could have shown through. So that's why I decided just to put the tape on the back side of those circles. So here you can see I've kind of decided what photo I was going to use because honestly when I started the layout I wasn't sure what photo or even what the layout was going to be about. So here I've kind of got a design going with my circles and I'm just going to lay out the photo. I'm not adhering it down, just putting the pop dots underneath it, kind of getting an idea where I want to go with the rest of the design. Here I still haven't adhered anything down, but I know that I want to do some type of frame around the edge of the layout to kind of hold everything in together. So I'm just kind of playing around right now with this tape, and this is kind of a gold striped, diagonal striped tape. And it has a nice shine to it, but it doesn't stand out too much for the background, kind of blends in a little bit, but still gives me a nice frame for the layout. So what I did is just make sure that I had the page centered on my mat so that I could use the guidelines on my mat to kind of measure out the tape and make sure I had it straight across the edge. So once I decided that I liked that it was there, and that's another great thing about washi tape is it's very forgiving. If I had not liked it, I could have just pulled it right back up and started with something different. But I liked it, so I folded it around to the back side of the page, and then I'm just going to snip off the edges. I decided that before I started turning the page in all directions to put the tape all the way around the edge, that I'd better start adhering these circles down before I lost my design and goofed it up. So I just used my ATG gun and started adhering those circles down. Okay, so I got them all adhered and then also went ahead and finished up the frame of tape all the way around the edge of the layout. And I also wanted to mention that something else that I really like about the ATG gun is that it is forgiving for a little bit after you use it. So I was able to lift up these pieces of chipboard and put them back down when I taped it. So now it's time for the title, and I turned to my trusty Silhouette to come up with a title for this layout. I wanted something that was kind of large and would fill that space next to the photo, but I also didn't want anything that would overpower my circles or the photo because I have so much busyness going on up at the top. I really wanted the title to kind of blend in a little bit, but still stand out in its own right. So the title, of course, is a bit of a joke. I was just looking at the layout and looking at the picture and thinking of our weekend, and the song Party Rock just came to mind. So I thought it would make a funny title for the layout. I used two free fonts for my title. The capital letters is Blanche Caps, and the cursive is English Essay. Since the background and the title are the same color of cardstock, I'm going to use pop dots underneath the party to help separate it. And since the rock part is so light and delicate, it will just kind of float off the page with it. Here I still haven't adhered down the photo or the title. I'm just kind of getting things laid out and thinking where I want to put it, make sure that that's where I want to put it, and what other embellishments I might add around the page. I decided that the tape around the edge needed a little extra something, so I went ahead and ran it through my sewing machine. I still have that orange thread on my sewing machine, and so I'm just going with it and left it there. And I stitched around the edge. I did lift up the chipboard round pieces that were on the very edges, just kind of pulled those off the page, and then sewed underneath them, and then put the chipboard pieces back on top of the stitching. Now the title and photo are adhered, so I'm good with that, and I am looking at where I'm going to include my journaling. And I still kind of want something up there at the top of the layout. So you can see that I've got this journaling card by Hello Forever, and I wanted to kind of peek through from the back side of the page. So what I did was get my round punch out. I've got several different sizes, and I just punched from a scratch piece of paper that I had laying around until it kind of fit that half circle design. And so I played around with it, and once I got the size I liked, I went ahead and pulled that little extra piece that I had punched and lightly adhered it onto my page so that I could use that for a guide to actually do the punch on my page. So once that little piece was adhered, I lined up the punch exactly with it and then punched right through my layout. And you can see that the stitching kind of held tight, and I just snipped it off real easy right there. So now I have the perfect size half circle so that my little journaling card can peek through from the back side. Now I needed something to actually hold that journaling card on the back side of my layout, and I just found this little envelope. I went ahead and snipped off the flap on the envelope, and I put the card inside the envelope, got it lined up exactly how I wanted it, and flipped it over, and then just lifted up the edge and added a little bit of adhesive. To me, that's easier than measuring. So now I've got that perfect little envelope on the back side of the layout to slide in my journaling card. You can also see that I added a bit of stitching around the circle, and I'm not the best stitcher, and it was kind of hard to stitch in a circle like that, and so it got a little wonky there in that place. But that's okay, because to me, whenever you have little mistakes like that, it just means that it was meant for something else to go there. So all I did was find that cute little wood heart and thought that would be really cute, adhered right on top of that stitching where I went a little wonky, and it worked out perfectly. To kind of continue with the wooden theme of my heart up there at the top, I decided to add some little wooden people to my page as well, and I thought they'd be really cute on top of that neon pink circle there. And I just used the same adhesive and stuck them down and thought that they were just kind of cute and added a fun touch to the layout. Now it's time to do a bit of journaling about that night and the weekend that we celebrated his 20-year high school reunion. One thing is for sure, whenever I find a little trick or a little product that I like, I will repeat it and use it several times until I guess I feel like I've worn it out. But this is a rubber band that's actually from Smash that's used to, I guess, hold your albums together. And the other day when I was working on a different layout that hasn't gone up yet, I guess you haven't seen, this will be the first time that you've seen me use this rubber band like that. I thought it would be fun to cut it apart and use it and make a little banner out of it just to add a little extra dimension, different texture to the layout. So I've just been cutting on that same rubber band until I have it used up, and it's almost gone. But so here I'm just going to use it as a banner and to add to the title. And you can see that I use the tiny attacher, and I went ahead and put the staples in the rubber band before I adhered it down because I wouldn't have been able to reach that inside edge with the tiny attacher. So I just faked it. And now I'm just going to add some letter stickers on top of that rubber band. So I still have a little bit of embellishing to do, and of course I'm still stuck on the flags and using the straight pins. So I have one that was made by Bella, and then I've just got another straight pin that I've added a couple different pieces of tape to, cut one real short and one longer, and added them into the photo. I'm using another older product. This is a stamp by KI Memories that's a few years old, and it's a hello, my name is kind of name tag stamp, but it also says today is my birthday at the bottom part of it, and I didn't want that included on my stamped image. So I guess I could have just figured out a way to just ink the stamp without inking the today is my birthday part, but for me it was just easier to grab my scissors and cut out that middle part of the stamp so that the today is my birthday wouldn't even be on there to have to worry about. Because in the future, I really don't see myself using that today is my birthday anyway. So I am stamping this image with black ink onto craft cardstock, and I chose to do it on craft cardstock again because I wanted to add a little bit of embellishment down there to the bottom right corner of the photo, but I didn't want it to stand out too much. So by using the craft cardstock again, that kind of helps it blend a little bit into the background. And I'm just going to add the details, a little bit about the weekend onto that. And then I'm going to attach that little stamped image with a tiny paper clip to the edge of the photo. And I think that completes the layout. Once again, creating a layout for Memory Keeping Monday has pushed me out of my box a little bit and had me looking at my products in a different way. So I hope that it will do the same thing for you and that you'll join in on the challenge this week to use some chipboard on your page. Whether it's new chipboard or old chipboard, just find a way to use it. Once again, this was Memory Keeping Monday with Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at 2 Peas in a Bucket. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Have a great week. Bye.